Popular Fly Patterns by Terry Hellekson. The one we're doing today here is this light creeper. This is a cool little fly. No, that's a light KL. This is the one, light creeper. See that? It's a wet fly, but it's interesting. It's sort of unique with the materials. That's why I'm going through these and I'm looking for unique materials. This one happens to be gray squirrel. And also it's like a segmented body. It has really, well, it's not segmented. It has a body and it has a thorax, two different materials. He wants you to use a Mustad 3906B 10 to 14. I have something close to that. This isn't the same hook, but it's very close. And yes, works. The thread I'm using is the 12-0 Giorgio Benici. It's in black. And we're gonna tie on here. And we'll go back halfway, take that off. And we'll go to there. Here's a gray squirrel. It was a small one. And a gray squirrel, well, most gray squirrels, it's going to be, it's great because when you see it from a distance, it looks gray. But in reality, it's going to have the brown on the inside. You're looking for some fibers that, at least from what I can tell from that little picture, is that you want to be able to get some black and some white into what you're using. So anything that's really long on the white, it's like, see those tips right there? That's kind of too long. So I'm going for more of the stuff that's down low. And one thing I'm going to warn you about if you've never used squirrel before is that it's a very like stiff fiber. Tying it in is kind of difficult. And basically what that means, especially in a fly with this size, which is kind of small. Although this one, I'm sorry, this one, I should have mentioned this, is that this is a 12. Yeah, it's a 2x long hook. You don't want to use too much here. If you overdo it, it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to put this into a stacker. I should be using a small stacker, like a hackle stacker would be nice. You know, something really, really small, like something that you would use to stack hackle, like hackle fibers for a tail. Not a hackle stacker, the fly, but ones that you use to stack tails. And I'm just trying to, yeah. So you can see it's not much here. And I want some of the black, and I want maybe 3/4. Yeah, that's good. We'll clip this off. Clip it off pretty short. Now I'm going to use this here. This is a Mylar 1618, so it's a small one, pretty small. And you don't want to use anything too big. This happens to be a gold and silver, and this is a gold rib. So all I'm doing is, obviously, when I put it on so that the silver is facing me. Then I'm going to go up. This is a dub body, so it's not, if the material rolls on you, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to come back. And I'm going to make sure I get that Mylar right to the tail. Dubbing, so let's use a cream. I mean, I have a white here. This is just a hare's ear. See that? Just a simple white hare's ear. Cream and white, pretty close. Now we're only going up to like somewhere like right there, because then we got the thorax. Now this is a black thread. That's what Terry says to use, black thread. So you're going to see it a little bit, which isn't a big deal. Just make sure it's a little bit tighter. That's better. I don't want to go too much past that. I think that's all right. Now this first turn, I'm going to put it on top of the tail. Okay. And just make sure this is just a little bit straighter. And we could do that a little bit neater. That's better. And then we'll take this off. And now these guard hairs, just make sure these are out of the way. Now I'm going to go up and then I'm going to go back to where I want to start the thorax. The thorax is peacock. So one will do it for sure. And you can kind of choose what you want here. If you want to do a heavy peacock or a light. This one happens to be a little bit heavier. Do yourself a favor and make sure this is clean up here. I'm going to go back because it's just a little too long and it's hard to clip. That's better. And now we're going to wind this on. I'm just going to do it just like a hackle, just one turn in front of the other. And that's it right there. Make sure when you're tying this off, tie it right next to the turns of peacock, because again, you'll get this stuff, it'll go everywhere. You can even wet your finger a little bit. This is kind of like ostrich in a way, where if you wet your finger and you can push it back. Now, I wouldn't clean up too much of this, because what's going to happen is that you're going to have too many turns. So save your turns and just try and get in here with the scissors. Like, you could fold this back maybe, but it's probably better to not until the end. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. It took me, I don't know, took me maybe 3 tries to really get this. And it can be a little frustrating. The reason I'm doing it this way, though, is it saves turns. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take the gray squirrel, and it's going to be sort of splayed a little bit on the sides. So we're going to get the same stuff that we used down at the bottom. And really not much more than you used for the tail. I'm going to put it into the stacker. And I would say that's too much. You don't want too much. It's going to be very difficult to tie this in if you do too much. Maybe even a little less than that. And definitely hold it by the tips here and really make sure you have all these. There can be some clipped ends in there, and you don't want those. It's just going to add bulk. So make sure you're only tying in what you're using. And I put it like this. It's got to be on either side though. But so I'll show you what we do. It's almost like how you spin deer hair a little bit. So you take it. I pinch it off right here, and I'm putting on 3 loose turns. See that? And then I'm going to take my nail. These are not tight turns, very loose. I'm going to take my nail and I put it right on the top. And maybe I can show you here, I'm not sure. But if you take this and you hit it with your nail, it spreads the fibers, a little bit on either side. Then you pinch it off and then you tie it in tight. And if you wanted to, maybe you can even put a little super glue on your thread. That's up to you. But make sure you don't go down to the eye, because you'll never be able to clip this stuff. Notice I haven't let go of this, the wing, or whatever you want to call it, the legs. Now I come to the front, to the eye, and all I'm going to do is just do one turn in front of the other and just build this up. This is a fly that's got a head on it. I mean, there's a head on this fly. And now you can see how it's splayed a little bit. And now the job really is just to make it neater. And we're going to go back to the eye. And we're just going to try and clean this up. Try not to do turns on top of each other. That really screws it up for sure. Because it's too much bulk. And I think we got it right there. So let's get the whip finisher. There we go. Good. Make sure that if you use long fibers like I did, make sure they're back. And if there's too many guard hairs for you, cut off some of them. Then we'll get in and we'll use some head cement. This head cement that I use, when I use head cement, this is what I use. It's a very thin, very, very thin head cement. Incredibly thin. It's not going to give you one of those crazy big shiny heads. It's going to soak in, and maybe just a drop more. And that's it. I'll show you the bottle here. See that? Fly tight. Great stuff. Really like it. So that's it. That's the fly. Yeah, there might be one fiber which I can take care of with this. A lot of times these little tiny fibers, after you put the head cement on, all you really have to do is just wait till it gets tacky and then brush it back. If it's not a hackle fiber. If it's a hackle fiber, then it's pretty much over. There's no way you're going to be able to really do it. But a little tiny peacock curl fiber, very light, and it'll just kind of stick and go away. See that? So that's it. That's it. Let me show you show you this pattern again. It's the Little Creeper. There it is. The Little Creeper. This is a pattern I would fish without a doubt. It's really cool. Oh, okay, so they're considering it legs, not a wing, which makes sense. Yeah. Love this little thing, right? Cool little fly. All right. Thanks, everyone.